Ladies and gentlemen, what is up, and welcome to today's video where I wanted to give kind of my initial thoughts on patch 14.0, the kind of Spider-Man Homecoming patch, but we've also had quite a few very nice quality of life changes to the game, a lot of bug fixes, but there are still kind of a few issues going on in the game as well. So it's not perfect, but it's a huge step in the right direction, especially, you know, with some of the previous big patches like 12.0, that was a complete shit show. 13.0, just when you kind of thought they were reining stuff back, it got worse. It got much worse with the double evade bug. And then we didn't have like a big update last month in terms of like, they didn't call it a new patch, but you know, we had the Punisher and Carnage event, and that was kind of starting to, you know, fix stuff and move toward a much more like solid and stable game. And I think 14.0 is just a really nice another step in the right direction for in terms of, you know, moving forward, getting stuff fixed, making some good changes in terms of quality of life to the game. So yeah, let's talk about kind of exactly what has changed. So the first thing is we now have a new kind of Spider-Man Homecoming interface, lovely background. All the characters have like little Spider-Man banners on the bottom of them, and it's such a nice change from the previous like Punisher and Carnage event, because that one it was a bit of an eyesore like after a month of looking at that Punisher loading screen. So like the new loading screen, if we can actually get it up, it's just a really nice one. Very briefly there of just Spider-Man kind of perching on a rooftop. Like, it's just so calm, it's so nice to look at. So that's one of the very little things, I guess, but it's just so much nicer visually speaking, the current version of the game. Now the next thing is kind of two like big changes, well, not big changes, I guess nice quality of life changes to Arena. So the first thing is that you can see your win streak and your points from the actual edit team phase. So when you're loading out your team and kind of building up a streak, you don't need to go back and be like, oh, you know, what streak was I on, to actually kind of think about exactly which champions you want to queue in. It's just there at the top, which, you know, is pretty damn convenient. It's a very small thing, but a very nice change there. And also, the second thing is in Arena, when you finish a fight, you now have an option just to instantly chain onto the next fight, or go back to kind of the screen to see your matchup if you've forgotten it and want to kind of, you know, mentally prepare for what you're in store for next. But for most people, that's going to significantly speed up the Arena grind, as you don't have to, you know, load back to the screen and then load your matchup again. You can just go ahead and straight in and load the next matchup. So that's a really cool change, a very long overdue one, but it's nice to see that Arena grinding has a much more smooth and streamlined flow now. So a couple of other things in terms of characters. Guillotine's souls, like her soul charge system, instead of being red, which I know like initially when I was learning the game, learning the characters, I always took, you know, a red buff or debuff in terms of something bad. You know, when you see red, you're like, oh, it's bad. And Guillotine's souls, they were always red, but now on this patch, a little bit of a change, they are now grey. So that's a bit of a fun fact if you haven't already played with a Guillotine since the update. So yeah, I think that's just nicer for newer players and people who are coming to terms with the game and understanding, you know, there is actually a buff and a good thing for a character, not a debuff, so that's quite nice. The next thing is Hyperion. He got buffed. Well, it's more of a fix than a buff, because he has an ability called Cosmic Overcharge, which actually was never on the character. It was never enabled. So this is when you have 3 stacks of Cosmic Overcharge and you use your special free, you now gain a buff for 30 seconds, which basically won't consume those 3 stacks of Cosmic Overcharge you have, allowing you to hit a little bit harder for a little bit longer. So that's pretty cool there. You know, it doesn't really change like too much when it comes to Hyperion, to be honest, but it's something cool for the character to have. It's a nice little change there. However, there are a few issues and stuff that are not necessarily has gone in our favor with this update. So the first thing is Daredevil is apparently, I don't know if this was ever fixed, but apparently he's back to whiffing after you're fighting like a character. They use a heavy attack. If you go in, your attack's going to get whiffed and you're going to get probably hit back instantly. I'm also hearing and reading quite a few complaints on the forums and Reddit for continued like not so great Android performance. A lot of people still experiencing kind of crashing and a lot of lag when using Android devices. So, you know, there's still quite a bit of headway headway to be made in terms of making a good quality of life for Android players by the sound of it. But I think, you know, Android devices have been so bad for so long that a lot of the really hardcore Marvel Contest of Champions players have just abandoned that device and gone to iOS. But yeah, it'd be really nice to see a little bit more consistency in terms of Android performance. That'd be pretty decent. And the last thing is that, you know, Unstoppable Colossus in Labyrinth is now unstoppable. He's much harder because he was so easy when he was stoppable. But that's a bit of a thing, you know, if you're thinking of doing Labyrinth of Legends sometime in the next month, that you need to bear in mind is that now you need to be pretty damn good at intercepting, or be willing to pay like a lot more revives to get that boss down. But ideally, you know, you want to make sure if you want a cheap and effective Labyrinth run that you're quite good at intercepting beforehand. But that's just something to bear in mind for anybody that is considering doing a Labyrinth of Legends run in the near future. So what else do we have to talk about? Obviously, the event of this month is the Spider-Man Homecoming event. And the first thing I can say about this event and the characters is Spider-Man Homecoming and Vulture, they look amazing. Like, both of the characters, in terms of like visual and animations, they are some of the coolest characters I think we've seen. And both of the characters have some quite new and interesting mechanics. Like, Spider-Man has the thing with his taunt, which increases opponents' abilities, the chance for an opponent to activate a special attack. So that's something that we haven't quite seen before. And also kind of hints that the game is coded that, you know, when the opponent is running up to you and they have a bar of power, that there's some sort of roll going on in the background, and that is a percentage chance to activate the special attack or a percentage chance to back off. So yeah, it's a bit more of an insight into, you know, actually how the game is coded and how it might work, or at least a strong hint toward an insight in that. So that's a bit of an interesting one there. But Spider-Man Homecoming is going to be coming out today in Arena, so very interested to you know, get my hands on a freestyle version of that character so we can do a little bit of testing. And when it comes to Vulture, you kind of have the Raptor Strike mechanic, which is kind of like a backdraft intercept of dashing back and then dashing in, and that like drains power based on Chitauri energy, along with his ability to have like this constant power burn buff on your opponent, which is, you know, consumes power based on power gain. So if you're kind of close to the special free, it doesn't seem like it's ever going to allow your opponent to get to a special free, because it's always going to sap that like 25% of power. So that's a bit of an interesting one there. Like, I think both of the characters, they seem like they're going to be like quite an exciting addition to the game, because they bring something to the table that is going to be useful in certain matchups and circumstances. Plus they look amazing and very fun to play, so they got that going for them. And the next thing is the Spider-Verse hero use. One of the things that I loved about the Guardians of the Galaxy is just like all month long they had this this Guardians Hero Use solo event going on, and it's pretty much the same this month. So you got the Spider-Verse Hero Use event, which allows you, you know, it doubles up really nicely with so many events like Arena Wins, Hero Use, Event Completion. Pretty much synergizes really well with any event where you just need to go out and play the game. And you essentially, you know, are going to get double rewards, a lot more revives up for grabs, these Spider-Verse Crystal Shards, which actually allow you to get 2-star versions of certain characters, such as Spider-Gwen. You can get 2-star Spider-Gwen, I think like all of the Spider-Verse villains, so you can get like a 2-star, I think it's Electro and like Carnage as well. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff up for grabs in those crystals for sure. Gonna wait till we have 10 to maybe open. Actually, you know what, we're gonna go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna open one of these now, just see exactly what is in this Spider-Verse Hero Crystal, just to have a little bit of initial look. So it looks like you can get maybe a 2-star Venom as well, which is pretty cool. 2-star Venom Pool, 2-star Agent Venom, Miles Morales, but we're after that 2-star Spider-Gwen, so we're just gonna spin out one of these crystals. Yeah, 2-star. So yeah, it's definitely like worth, if you're a bit of a collector, like doing this month's Hero Use event and also the Tony Stark's missions, which we're gonna talk about in a second, to try and get some of these exclusive characters as a 2-star. It's quite interesting. You can get potentially like a 4-star Carnage as well, but hey, we got a 2-star Carnage on the first try. Little 2-star garbage can. I mean, we've got one of those, I think, incoming in like the next week and a bit from Marvel Insider. But you know, we'll take it. We'll take it. That's pretty good, damn cool, I guess. So yeah, not too bad at all. You know, if you're a big collector, make sure you do those events. And The next thing we have, which is not active at the moment, is the Tony Stark's missions. So the Heroic and Master ones, in my opinion, are definitely worth doing every time they come around. You know, for doing the Master Mode one, you get, for the completion of it, you get like 55 star shards, you get like a good chunk of Spider-Verse crystal shards, and also a bit of, a bit of a tier 4 class Catalyst Fragment crystals. So he gets 2% of one of those. So while the rewards, you know, they don't seem like super huge or great, they're just like quick, easy missions if you see them active, like just to clock in, and eventually, you know, if you catch as many of them as you can over the course of the month, like the rewards are going to build up and up and up. And I think in terms of like spending energy, like try and allocate it so that you always have like a bit of spare energy for these events. That'd be pretty damn sweet. But, you know, I think, like, if you're at a point where you're very starved for energy, and it's kind of like you need to spend units on actually doing these events, then I think it's kind of, like, debatably worth it. Like, it's not super terrible value, but it's not super amazing value either. It's kind of, like, in the middle. It's alright value. So, yeah, but ideally, if you can allocate some spare energy whenever it pops up, that ain't too bad. And also, if you want kind of a reminder for these events, like, what I suggest is Twitter. Twitter is the way to go, because that's the kind of thing they're trying to encourage. They're trying to encourage people to follow them on Twitter and turn on the notifications for marketing purposes. But you can basically set it up, download Twitter, set it up so that you only get the notification from Twitter via the notifications in the app from when Marvel Contest of Champions tweet, so that you can be instantly notified of any of these Tony Stark's events going on, you know, if you do want to catch them. But by the look of it, you know, only the Heroic and Master ones seem like they're worth doing. And the final thing that we have when it comes to this month's event is the teaser. There was a motion comic that came out yesterday, which featured, by the look of it, the kind of left-hand character is a little bit up for debate. I'm pretty sure it's Electro, because, like, his forehand is electricity. And then you've got Rhino, you have Venom, you have Vulture in the background, but you also have Doc Ock and Green Goblin. So it looks like we're set for kind of a 2-month Spider-Man related event, and the second half is going to be Doc Ock and Green Goblin, and the versions of these characters look like they're going to be kind of the classic comic book versions, which, to be honest, I think are the best ones by far in terms of like the aesthetics. So I'm very, very excited to see that. But yeah, like, I'm so curious as to what these characters are going to be able to do. I have potential, like, massive hype for Doc Ock. Like, he's a character that I've wanted in the game for so long, so I'm a little bit tempted to, you know, maybe if he's a good character, go for a 5-star version of him. So yeah, bit of an interesting one there. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is so much in this update, and the final thing is, you know, we have Spider-Man Stark Enhanced coming out today, and one of the things it looks like Spider-Man and Vulture are going to have is some very interesting synergies, like Punisher 2099. Like, we're going to delve into this maybe a little bit later, but he has synergy bonuses, the Faster AI Reboot, which is a knowledge share with Iron Man or Hulkbuster, which allows him to reboot his AI faster. That might not be terribly useful. Increased ability accuracy with Vulture, by the sound of it, so that might be somewhat useful for certain stuff. And then increased debuff duration. He's contest noobs with Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, and also Spider-Man Miles Morales. So yeah, I'm not too sure, you know, kind of what potential synergies and stuff that could come out of that, but those are synergies that we certainly haven't seen before on many characters. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed my initial thoughts and kind of tour around patch 14.0. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Take care and have an absolutely fantastic day.